let's chat portion sizes.
Yeah. So sometimes this topic can be a little depressing because when we're, let's say we have like a bag of chips and we're eating those. A lot of the time we're just grazing and we don't realize that we're usually eating multiple servings. So
Up the whole bag.
And sometimes it can be a little sad when you actually see what the actual, serving size is. And there's a variety of different ways where you can figure out that portion size.
Yeah, so if you guys remember and refer back to the video on how to read nutrition labels, remember at the top of that, we talked about the portion size as well as the serving size. So how can we measure the portion sizes? There's multiple ways.
Many ways.
One way.
So this is gonna be one that is sometimes a little bit easiest for people. You're used to these with like baking and cooking. So those are gonna be measuring cups and measuring spoons. So on each of the different cups and spoons, it shows exactly, what that serving or what that measurement would be. So we have half a teaspoon, half tablespoon, tablespoon. These can be fourth cup, half cup, cup, and that's always labeled on the actual utensil.
And then another way, and my favorite way personally, how to measure portion sizes is by utilizing a digital scale. And you can purchase one of these on Amazon or your local grocery store essentially. Why I like using a digital scale is because we can actually get more precise measurements. And if you have any kind of health or physique related goals, being as precise as possible is going to be of utmost importance. And I'm going to use an example right here of 2 rice cakes. You want to hold one?
Sure.
Don't eat it.
It's tempting.
With peanut butter on them. Okay? So if you look at it, they look like they have about the same amount of peanut butter on the rice cake. Lauren, if I were to ask you, how many tablespoons of peanut butter is on that rice cake? Would you say 1, 2?
I'd say 2.
2?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's funny that you said that because the rice cake that you're holding actually has 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, whereas mine has 2 tablespoons of peanut butter.
This is 2?
Yes. And see, it's really hard to dictate that if you don't utilize a digital scale, because if you were just to kind of like eyeball,
yeah,
you would think that these are pretty much the same amount of peanut butter, and when in reality, there's a whole tablespoon more.
So you're getting double that
so
serving
there's double
size.
the calories on this, and you wouldn't know that by just looking at it. So that's going to be really important for you guys to know, and we're going to actually talk about how to utilize a food scale here in the next video.
Yeah, and I actually think too, like with comparing like measuring cups to food scale, I definitely prefer the food scale too, just because you do get a lot more of that detail. And eyeballing's great, but it's actually really great to get comfortable using a food scale, because then that really teaches you how to accurately have good like eyeball estimations when you're tracking food too.
So to add on to what Lauren was saying, you can use a measuring device such as a tablespoon or a food scale, but if you're measuring things like peanut butter and using a tablespoon, a lot of people actually measure out too much of a serving size when it comes to peanut butter, and they do a heaping serving, so they're actually consuming a little bit more calories than what they thought had they used a food scale to be more precise.
Yeah, so it's totally up to you which route you want to go, but I will say that food scale is going to give you the most accurate measurements, and the measuring cups, measuring spoons are great. Of course, if you're in a pinch, it's going to be a lot better than eyeballing. And either way, using it probably smells really good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Using either of these is going to give you just like the foundations to hopefully down the road have a lot better eyeballing when you're measuring food.